What's up, everybody? Welcome to Life with Larnel. I appreciate you guys clicking on this video. Today, I have the genius, the legend, Mr. Brik.liam. I am excited about this interview because I have so many questions for myself.
I'm here to offer as many answers as I possibly can.
So what I usually ask everybody when everybody gets on here is the first question, because it's Life with Larnel. How's life? That's the real answer. That's okay.
No. Life is life, and I think everybody's had a pretty difficult year, whether they expressed it or not. I think it's been a really weird year for everybody. So now that we're coming towards the end of it, I think I kind of felt like a late bloomer to it, but I'm glad that I'm finally coming to a place where I'm figuring things out and things are changing for me, and just natural change, not just like, when people are forcing themselves. I wasn't using all of quarantine to read all these self-help books and stuff. I was waiting for something natural to happen, because forcing it isn't usually great for me either. I know myself well enough to know that forcing myself to change isn't great, but just the way that life kind of naturally has been going. Also, luckily, it's still yet to contract COVID. I've been maybe like a few places, for business, but even in traveling, I haven't had to worry about catching it. So praise be, because other people have been catching it and getting out of here. So
yeah, I'm glad you. And you say you've only been to like a few places, and I've been trying to limit my travel as well, because it's real out here.
It is. Yeah, I'm just really grateful that nothing's happened. I had a lot of things on pause at the top of this year. Like once we were in the house in March, I was in the house and I did not leave. And even now, like, I don't go out anywhere. I don't do really. I was in the house before COVID. Like, I was in the house all the time anyway. So I thought it was going to be a lot easier because I'm a homebody anyway, but it hasn't been as,
Definitely, I'm a homebody as well, and I thought this would be a blessing because I have the same story as you. Like, I didn't really want to be the person to be like, oh, I gotta put this out. It kind of came as like it came to me. I just had to make sure I was good. And I think for me, I learned that it was more so time for me to get me together or find out who I really am without the being busy and everything. Besides your name, everybody knows who Brik.liam is, but I want to hear your definition of who Brik.liam is.
So to me, when I first created the name Brik.liam, so I was looking up synonyms for the color red, because red is my favorite color. And it just, for me, it's a color of passion. It's a color of strength. It's a vibrant color, depending on the, tone of it. And so I knew I wanted to use that color within the name. And so I found the synonym for it being the word brick, but I just took the C out, just trying to be different. But I wanted to exude all those different things. The reason I changed my name also was to, one, I was feeling like this level of like people just having this comfort with using my government name and creating nicknames behind it and not really knowing me. And it made me feel really uncomfortable, because nicknames that I grew up with are very intimate to me. And so they have special meaning. And so for other people that I don't know, to just kind of be using is kind of different. But also I wanted to kind of like have like I won't say an alter ego, but like something or a persona to look forward to. So if I'm getting on stage, what would Brik do in this situation? Like, Brik would give, Brik would be vulnerable, Brik would, because Jacoby isn't always as willing to be open with people, and just, I'm actually genuinely shy and kind of just to myself a lot anyways. But there's another side to me that is more energetic. You catch me at anybody's wedding at the reception, I'm gonna dance the whole entire time. I'm one of those people, but the other side of me is, pretty just shy and quiet. So I created Brik.liam as like a kind of like a standard for me as an artist. Brik.liam is super creative. Brik.liam is always, pushing the envelope when it comes to creativity and when it comes to performing, being vulnerable and doing his best on stage and giving to the people and just giving myself a reason to, I won't say not be who I'm not, but be a better version of myself, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
So with knowing that, like, what would a Brik.liam playlist look like? Not who you are personally, but like, what would your playlist be if you had to create one? If you had to pick like 5 songs
in the album,
I
Either
know
way,
what
Party Life by Jay-Z is one of those songs like Jay-Z, like you get how a lot of people like listen to Beyonce to like gain that confidence. Jay-Z is
I'm
one of those artists that specifically that song I listen to kind of like, feel myself. So it's all about confidence. It's all about exuding like an alpha energy. Um, I would say at the top of that list, so it's Party Life. I would say Yellow Diamonds by Simone.
I have to listen to that song, but I have
Yeah,
been recently getting into Samo, so I
yeah,
will definitely check that song out.
yeah. Yellow Diamonds. Another record that makes you feel like, again, because Brick is supposed to be that, persona. So giving you another like song that makes you kind of like show up for yourself.
Got you.
So Yellow Diamonds, Party Life. Uh I don't know. That's hard. I would say Some Other Dude, my song, because I don't know, it's something about that record because of the pocket. It just makes you
It's
find
crazy.
your chill, like you find your like pocket. Because it has a pocket to it, you kind of like find your pocket, and it's like a confidence to it, even though it's like super smooth and slower than like the other records I mentioned. And when I listen to it, it gives me a lot of like confidence in my gift. Um, what's another song? Uh, I would say the whole Tierra Whack EP, the Whack World EP. Like it's only
Wow.
15 tracks, but it's 15 minutes long. Each song is like a minute long. But I
Mhm.
listen to that and it gives me energy. And I would say last, uh, I hate questions about music because it's so hard. Um, Return of the Mac. Yeah.
That will get you up, and especially if it's at a wedding reception. I really wanted to talk to you today about because I know that you are so gifted and so talented in different areas. I want to talk to you about managing multiple gifts. And I know that that can be like very draining at points and almost overwhelming because people want to pull you from different areas. So, how do you make sure that you're okay and that you're watering each gift?
So it's funny that you say that and you're asking me this question, and then my genuine answer is that's a space that I'm still figuring out, but also because that space continues to evolve for me. So um another like thing that happened during, this pandemic, I quit my job. I resigned from my job. I was doing graphic design for ministry here in Dallas. And it's the reason I was able to move to Dallas. Like it was my first job that I felt like, oh, this is a job, like I'm getting paid and I got benefits. And this is something I enjoy doing, to an extent. And so I got comfortable in it. And then, eventually it was just time for me to evolve out of that. And now I'm working independently, which has been really, really great too, giving myself more time, not having anybody to answer to per se. But, it's a ground I'm still figuring it out. I want to be able to get to a place where I accept the clients that I want to accept, and not that I take on any client, like any clients just because they need something, but being able to be very selective and even picking projects that I can do for free. Not It's just not about bills, because I want to be able to provide great creativity for my friends. I love working with people like Ajani, and recently starting to work with Simone some things, and I want to be able to do that for other people with my friends specifically. I love collaborating with people that I know. And I don't know, it's something I desire to do. And I see it kind of I kind of see myself as like a Pharrell, but for me, music coming first, where production comes first for him. And, I'm still trying to figure it out because I left my job and I've gone to start doing freelance work. I've been able to pay my bills and everything's been great. But sometimes not only does it take time away, but it takes energy away from what I could be pouring into my music. And I want to, again, like I said earlier, I kind of felt behind during the pandemic at first because I didn't feel a natural transition into music. I was dealing with other mental
Yeah.
and emotional things during this time. And again, I don't like moving out of like a natural, feeling, but also trying to learn what it looks like to be productive in the midst of not feeling, up to par. Um, but yeah, it's this still the ground I'm trying to figure out, trying to find that balance. Because at the end of the day, music has always been my first love, and so the bittersweet part of being recognized as a all around creative, as a
Mhm.
creative, person, and doing visual art and animation now and figuring those things out. It's great that I can do those things, and I know that God gave it to me for a reason. But my initial attempt at learning these things was to help the Brik.liam brand, for me to create my own animations, and I do that now. But people want to get from me as well, and I don't mind getting some money for it as well, getting the bag. That's all it's about, anyways. But
Yeah.
um, just wishing I had more time and energy, and I was able to collaborate more with people on the music side, because I have a lot of things to say as well, and I want to be respected as artist and musician first and foremost before anything else. If I had the option to literally lay it all down and just do music, I would do that. But I think the other side of it is all about perspective, because I could feel like, oh, this is not where I want to be. Like, I don't want to just be known as everybody's graphics guy, because I'm not, what I'm saying? At the same time, knowing that there's a gift in that too, because it's I see it as the equivalence of like someone known for like singing background vocals for like major artists, and them still pursuing their artistry. Like,
Yeah.
the world doesn't look like what it looked like a couple of years ago. The industry doesn't look like that. So it's almost like by any means necessary. And if that means that I'm hustling with graphics until I'm able to get bigger clients, like a company that's going to pay me thousands of dollars, for the month,
Mhm.
for a project that I can knock out, that's cool. Cause then that allows me time to do music, with the resources that I have from doing that job. So that's I guess I say that to say that's my goal for graphics and other creative lanes, to basically line my pockets so that I can invest into my music and visuals and just different things that I want to do. And again, just trying to also move in a natural flow, because music has been coming to me, but because I'm a perfectionist, what I'm saying, and waiting to collaborate with other people, it's just, it comes in seasons, and I know that happens with me. So I'm trying to figure out what that looks like now. What does that growth look like? What does that look like in this season? What does that look like in a pandemic? What does that really naturally look like for Brik.liam? What does that evolution look like? And I just want it to be real, and I want it to be right. And so it's just something I'm still figuring out. I've been writing songs, I've been recording demos from home. Like, the pandemic made me buy a mic because I couldn't go to the studio. So I'm starting to produce, myself now. And
Mhm.
so I'm evolving and I'm figuring it out. But I hope to be able to give people music soon, because I want it to be out there, but I also want it to be right. So
Absolutely. And I appreciate one thing about you, I do appreciate is that when you see anything that you do, you know that you took your time with it.
yeah.
There's intention behind it. That it's not only like, oh, I got new music out and this music got created last month. No, this is I'm gonna make sure that it's cohesive with everything. And I just want to talk about the creative process behind What's the Matter, Brick, because that EP was something that I haven't seen in a long time, because I feel like a lot of times, and I'm not really big on music like that. I just am a music lover, but I feel like a lot of times music today can be just like boom, boom, the single, 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 single. And I felt like your EP was like an experience that wasn't normal. It was like, okay, I really need to listen to these songs now. Like my favorite songs on that EP was, of course, Some Other Dude and Plasma. I really like that one. And I almost like, I'm about to say a really big statement, but I almost feel like when Brandy's album came out, I felt like bipolar was like similar in that set of just the emotion that I felt behind that. And I was just like, because when I first heard Plasma, I was like in a space. I was like, hold on, hold on. I need to take a minute to like, because what did he just tell my business? That's how I go with bipolar. So I just want you to talk about that whole journey of creating that.
Well, that was crazy enough. It's 8 tracks, but it's like 4 full songs. And then like everything else is like interludes and transitions. But it took about 2 years. I literally started recording those songs right after I put out the Ascension album. Um, the Ascension came out in October, and probably November, I have recorded Thinking About You first. And then I sampled Thinking About You to create Some Other Dude. And um, Yeah, it's like a 2-year process, but that's because life was happening. I was working my job and I had been on tour with PJ, and so many different things had changed. And then when PJ, wanting to sign me happened, having to go back and forth with contracts, that took even more time. So in the midst
Right.
of all of that, waiting back and forth between attorneys and contracts and stuff, I had to, figure some things out with the music. And I don't know, I felt like with that project, to be honest, I don't want to sound like a lot of artists who feel like it's the projects are not them. I know every song is me, but I also kind of know that it was rushed, like just being super
Mhm.
transparent, because I knew I was just like, well, if my contract is officially signed by this date, this needs to be ready. So I was just ready to put something out. So when I tell you I have like so many other records that I started and just did not finish, because I wanted to, put a body of work out. But I still was able to take my time enough because it took 2 years, to finally be able to
Mhm.
put it out, to add details that told a full story. I'm a big person on artistry. I'm a big person on details. So I wanted to make sure that things were connected. I'm an albums artist. Like I don't singles cool. But I just feel like when you put a body of work out, it gives people an opportunity to see your range. And I don't think that you can do that in songs all the time. So I would
Yeah.
prefer to present, bodies of work, because I know that for sure that out of these songs, everybody that listens is going to get at least one song that they connect with. And so I was super intentional about that. Um, I just remember, I think, trying to think through like different titles for it. And I also remember before PJ even asked me about signing me, we were having a conversation. I want to say it was in the fall of like 2018. Was it? It's 2020? Yeah, 2018. Because he was on tour again after the tour I just did with him in the spring.
Okay.
And I came to see them in Austin, and we were just chatting up, and I was kind of complaining to him like, yeah, I've been working. He had been asking me how music was going, and I was kind of like complaining that everything I kept writing was like sad and I didn't like it. And he was just like, well, that just happens. Sometimes you just have to get it out. You know what I'm saying? Just go with what you feel and it's all right. And, between that conversation and me going back to like therapy or attempting to go back to therapy, um, it was just some different things that I had to really reflect on. And it made me question, like, what is the matter with you? Like,
Mm.
are you okay? And just having to be honest and being like, I'm really not over this situation. I'm not over being heartbroken. Like people probably hear this, and like my friends or people that know of like personal stories from me or about me will probably like, nigga, like you not past that. Like that was
Mm.
like years ago. You know what I'm saying? But you don't understand how certain situations last and stay with you. You know what I'm saying? Even if you let go of certain things, like it's called trauma for a reason. You know what I'm saying? We all experience it. So just having to be super honest, which I believe that my music that's the root for all of my music, honesty. Or at least that's what I try to, aim for when I create music. And it's with honesty. And so just asking myself that question, what's the matter, Brik? And I felt like I was able to kind of like go through kind of like a story to answer that question. Plasma, I remember writing it, and I wrote it like in the middle of the night. I had woken up out of my sleep and just the words started coming to me. And then I got into the studio session with Mr. Dimension, and we're sitting there, we're talking, and I told him what I was kind of like going for. He had kind of like played this guitar sound or whatever. He was playing that, and I just out of nowhere just started singing the lyrics I had wrote some days before on top of it. And kid you not, I'm just like a puddle of like tears in the back of the room, like what is going on? So I don't know. I felt like for me, that project was like a therapy session.
Mm.
Um, Telling my story, but also in a therapeutic way. And I think it's just all about letting other people know, like the listeners know, that they're not alone in their feelings. They're not alone. And for me to just be brave enough to share that transparency, because
Absolutely.
I don't want to be the sad R&B guy. I wish I was, sometimes somebody else, but that's just not the role I'm meant to play. Cause just naturally I am just the very vulnerable, don't
Hmm.
mind being an emotional guy. And I think there's plenty of other men out there that are just like me. And it doesn't make me less of an artist or less of a man or even more of a man. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
it's what I'm here to do. And coming to grips with that was kind of like the journey behind that project, just kind of realizing I'm continuously talking about the same content, but maybe that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So kind of like getting used to it.
I see you talk about authenticity a lot. And what does that mean to you?
Um, Authenticity is about sharing the best parts of yourself that you probably usually wouldn't share with the world. I think we live, especially in this time now, I think a lot of what we see in the world, especially online, people are not wanting to give the best of themselves because at one point they did and somebody disrespected it, somebody didn't take care of it. So you see them lashing out now. And when we're looking on Twitter and people kind of just being catty and petty, like at every turn. And the thing is, we all do it, but it's a response again of the trauma that we all experience in life. We were kids at one point, and at some point we got rejected. You know, I wasn't the cool guy in middle or high school. Like I sang and people knew me for that, but I wasn't that guy, you know? So I think we all experience certain traumas and what people expect from us. And we kind of present that first. We don't show up as ourselves for ourselves. We show up as somebody else for other people.
Yeah.
And I think when we allow ourselves to break free of that, just life changes. Like I've watched myself be vulnerable in myself and still be able to be successful. You know what I'm saying? I'm not I'm not the R&B singer with the six pack, and I'm not singing about certain things. And it's not because I don't want to, but it's just because that's not naturally what I want to present to the people as my authentic self. And I think it's okay to filter, you know, sometimes as long as you're not like changing who you are. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So because I kind of feel like I know my path and my way, it's just kind of where I am. And I may evolve into something else. And I just think that it's all about putting your best foot forward. And again, just presenting yourself, showing up for yourself as yourself every time, because that's where the blessings are connected to. That's where we watch that happen with artists like Lizzo and
Definitely.
so many other artists. You can just tell when an artist is not being genuinely themselves. You can tell where they're putting on a front. We can see through it. There's a lot of artists that we still love despite that. But then there's a lot of artists that we love because they have been real with us, you know what I'm saying? And then the music connects with it. We love Cardi B. And I guess it's a fine line to kind of like walk on, because artists are becoming more personalities than music sometimes.
Absolutely.
But I think there's a balance there. You know what I'm saying? I think people just want people to be real. And because we live in a different society, in a different form of the industry now, people require authenticity. We want what's real. You know what I'm saying? Like, so because when the truth comes out, how you gonna fix it? You know what I'm saying? And then you're getting canceled. And it's all these different things. It's better to be yourself in private, in public, and in any other situation. If you're consistent in who you are, and if you don't have to worry about performing or showing up as somebody else, you don't have to worry about switching up. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to worry about continuing to have to keep that thing up. So I think it's just better to always, at every turn, show up as yourself for yourself. Because even if the success doesn't come immediately, at least you've done that and you can feel that and you're connected. You know what I'm saying? Like showing for yourself as yourself is the most important thing. Like it's about you. And I think that's one thing I've been learning on my journey as well. Like a lot of what I do is for other people, like the music, but I do it for me. Those songs came from a personal place and I needed to write those words down. Every now and then I still need to listen to my songs back and probably still cry and get emotional the same way another listener would, because it was my story. And even for me, I have out-of-body experiences where I'm just like, did I really like write that? That was like really, really dope. Did I really think to transition the song? Like it all plays a part, you know, in our evolution, being able to like look back and stuff like that. So yeah, authenticity is it's the blessing. It is the blessing.
Definitely your music. What is your greatest reward after you release something? What do you feel like your reward is, or what you get out of it?
My greatest reward, first and foremost, is that I stuck to my word to myself. Because I don't think people recognize, like you mentioned earlier, like the music industry now is just kind of like single here, single there. Everybody's trying to do a 2-minute song. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, they're trying to get product out. And it's also because they're trying to just give samples to people to figure out what people are actually going to like. So if this single works out, then we need an album that feels like this. You get what I'm saying? People are trying to be strategic rather than just creating stuff, but also the audience being open enough to just receive it. And if you don't like it, it's okay too. And giving the artist another chance. I think that artists feel like their lifespan is like so short. You only get one shot. And that's not the truth. At the end of the day, whether somebody likes me or not, I am still an artist. I'm still a songwriter. I'm still a singer, whether you prefer my voice or somebody else's. I still am who I am. And I think that over time, especially with the internet now, the fan bases get too much power. And then
Yeah,
you have the artists kind of doing things just because the label told them to. Now the label has now turned into the fan base, and the fan base is requiring this. And that's not right, because you're not able to show up as yourself for yourself. I can't remember the question that you asked, but
you basically answered that. Actually, your greatest reward is after you
oh
release
yeah,
something.
yeah, just keeping my word to myself. Ultimately, at the end of the day, every time I release a project, is that my goal has been, I just want to release what I said I was going to. I'm going to go against my fear and my anxiety of putting my vulnerable, stories out there to the world. Even with, I may listen to a mix, the master of the song, like a year after it's been released, and hate that my vocal sounded like that. But my goal at the end of the day was to put that out. And ultimately, the other part is that people respond to the music in the way that's deeper than the skin. Like, I love that the music sounds dope to people, but I want people to get a deeper revelation, which is why I put deeper meanings into my songs, into the projects, into the theme, and the connection of all the songs. There's so many details that, like, I reflect on projects like Full Moon specifically. Like, that's an album for me. And not just because of Brandy's vocals, but the production from Rodney and LaShawn Daniels and everybody else that was involved, like the vocal stackings, the meaning behind the lyrics, the transitions, the music. Like, it
Yeah,
can be so much, you know what I'm saying? And I think that people deserve the experience that you even spoke about. Like, it's an experience for you, and everybody may not get that experience, but I think they deserve the opportunity to get that. And it may be like 5 years from now where somebody just may play it randomly or hear it for the first time and get, oh, that's what he meant when he said this. I did not peep this lyric. Because I mean, when it comes to songwriting, I think it's still my duty to do my best in the story that I'm telling, even if the consumer doesn't completely get it, because nobody listens to lyrics. As much as everybody says they want real R&B and real music and they love this, that, and the third, that's more about inspiring other songwriters in the future. The average listener is not going to listen, below, the surface. Like, I sang at a wedding yesterday, and the bride, and I had just recognized it until yesterday, but she wanted me to sing her down the aisle to Overjoyed. And it's Stevie, but that's a love, like unrequited love, like type of song. It's not like a love song. So it lets you know that people don't care if it feels good, if
I
you're
never.
emoting enough, if you sound good, if the groove is good, then you good. You know what I'm saying? But that's pop music, in a sense. Like, there's nothing below the surface. It's just all those things. And I think soul music and R&B music, or when you're intentional about it, there's so much more to like dissect. And I just wanted to give that opportunity to other creatives and other artists. And I think that's why the people that do support it are other creatives, because they enjoy details just like me. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So, yeah.
I was listening to a single that came out last Friday with one of my friends. Well, I listened to it before, and I was like, I like the beat, but I do not understand the lyrics. So I played it for them, and I was just like, tell me, like, what y'all think the meaning is behind this song? They couldn't figure it out either. And I was just like, dang. Like, we'd be like, oh, I really like this song. But it's just like, okay, what are they saying, though?
Yeah.
I want to identify with the song so I can place it where I need to place it. And I think that is so key to a lot of things.
But that's from your personal experience, because you want to be able to connect the music to your personal experience, and not everybody's like that. Not
Yeah,
everybody wants to. Not somebody's not going to play the song on repeat to figure it out. A lot of people are going to play it on repeat because for whatever reason it's infectious. You get what I'm saying?
yeah,
A lot of people are not going to listen, below the surface, and it's just kind of what it is, and that's good too, because we need it. I think there's space for everybody to do the kind of music that they want to do. And
definitely.
yeah,
And I also think one thing I'm learning throughout this quarantine, that everything you do is not for everybody. Some people are gonna like it, some people are gonna hate it. It is what it is. I'm gonna still be me and show up as myself every time.
and that's a hard pill to swallow as an artist and even just as a lover of music, because again, the time that we live in is so many people on the internet wanted to give their opinions. And I was
Definitely.
tweeting about this the other day. Like, I think words are important, and because everybody has a platform now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care that you have an opinion of your own. That's great. However, when you're not knowledgeable or educated in something, it's hard for me to even read your opinion or get what you're saying, because what you're saying is not real, because you don't even know what you're saying. Like, you
Yeah.
can't even use words to describe exactly what you want. Like, what's the best example? Like, because people confuse good singing strictly with like being loud, they don't know skill versus volume. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? So somebody could be loud and flat and they still want that person over somebody who does like jazz or something more complicated. And that's cool, because, but I'd rather you say that than to say somebody can't sing because they're not screaming. You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
well, words are very important. I say all that to say words are very important, and use them. Be knowledgeable enough to use them well. So when people are reading your opinions, they can get with it. Like, somebody brought up, I don't want to say the artist, but they were
Yeah.
trying to compare two different artists. And they tried to say that one artist would outsing the other. And it was just like, that's not a factual thing. And everybody's response was like, no. But that person's response to people saying no was that, well, no, you can't deny the catalog. We weren't talking about catalog. We were talking about singing, which is
Yeah.
why words are so important. Yeah, we could talk about catalog. If that's the case, yeah, that's a conversation. But we're specifically talking about singing, and people go to school to study vocal. If those people that go to school to study vocal, you can't tell them anything because they learn. Wait, what? How's this? Words are important. That's all I'm saying. And then also the bigger thing is, when it comes to platforms, I'm a big believer, and I try, especially during this time with our president and stuff like that, and just certain people that believe certain ways. I just try to express my opinion and not place it on other people.
Yeah.
Except when it comes to people being killed in the streets. That's not a conversation. You need to stop doing that. But because of the internet gives platform to everyone, I just think it's very harsh to, back in the day, you had to send in like mail to artists, like letters and stuff like that. Now you can reach somebody with a DM, you can add them on Twitter, you can mention them in a comment on Instagram, and they see it. And I just think that it's such a harsh world to live in, especially when we have all this stuff going on already. Artists sacrifice so much to give music to people, whether you like it or not. I don't understand the point of giving feedback, one, that was not asked for, two, that you're not educated in, like, you're not a critic
You
who is
have no
respected.
credential.
Like, credentials, exactly. And I get it, for artists to put themselves out there, that comes with it, but it's not necessary. It's one thing to give your opinion about something, but it's another thing to drag people and just do the complete most and just be mean for what? When that person sacrifice giving to you, and then you wonder why Rihanna doesn't want to release another album and people begging for it. Nah, when she released the album before, y'all had complaints. Oh, but y'all just got it a year or two after it was released, and now y'all want more. Y'all got to pick a side. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't complain about the state of music and also complain about the fact that artists that are putting out something all of a sudden isn't good enough for you. If you're not in the studio doing it or helping other artists get it done, I don't understand. I just don't get it. I don't get it. You're not adding to the situation. You're making more of a problem instead of trying to have a solution. And I say all that to say,
I get what you're saying, because it bothers me in my area of acting, because number one, I'm going to school for acting,
yeah,
and I am still a Tyler Perry fan. So my thing is with people, sometimes it can go a little bit too far, because I want to be like, what would you do with this script? If I give you this script, what you gonna do with these words?
I
And if
agree.
you don't know what you're gonna do,
Because my thing is too, were you in the audition room? Did you audition for this? Or would you continue, like, after trashing Tyler Perry, if he hit you up to audition, would you still do it? Yeah, you would. Because you want a bag, you want an opportunity to elevate your life. And I just think, because even Tyler Perry mentioned it in an interview, I saw like a snippet of it on Twitter, but he was just like, yeah, all these people got all these complaints, but clearly they're not my audience. And it's clear this nigga has a whole studio now. You get what I'm saying? Like, there is a group of people supporting him, and it's not some private investor somewhere. There's people who are fans who are watching. The ratings are there. That does not
yeah,
lie, regardless of the quality that you like in the wigs or not. It is. And if it's not for you, that's cool too. And now I get the memes, they're funny.
Yeah,
Like, let's be funny.
absolutely.
But when people become disrespectful and just kind of like simply mean, like I just don't get it. We're in 2020, they're killing Black people in the streets, not being held accountable for it. You know, all these things going on around the world, like that's already crazy. You want to add to that by tearing someone down? Again, your opinion welcomed. But when you're doing pouring so much energy into like campaigning literally against another person successful, like I just don't get it. I
Yeah,
really don't.
it's just so weird to me and I'm gonna stop right here because you really struck a chord with me because I really have a thing for people who speak without knowing what they're saying and no credentials at all. You have no idea what it takes
But that's all
to.
of us. And I think that's another thing I'm realizing too, because there's certain times where I'll go to tweet something and either I'll delete it or I'll delete it before tweeting it. Like, now, was that necessary? Like learning to only speak when it's necessary. I have this phrase called less windows, more mirrors. Less windows as in less looking at what everybody else is doing and judging what everybody else is doing and speaking on what everybody else is doing, and more looking in the mirror to enhance what I'm doing, enhance what I'm saying, all of those different things. Because again, it's the man in the mirror effect. If I focus on me to become better and you focus on you to become better, we'll all be better people. I know how to love you because I know how to love myself. And I think that's where a lot of people fall short, all of us to some extent, because there's plenty of things I'm not knowledgeable in that I may want to speak on, but I also am trying to be more intentional about not doing that, because why am I taking up space with my voice if I don't know what the hell I'm talking about?
Exactly.
Yeah.